Hello there friends, and welcome to my second weekly Final Fantasy news update, This Week in Final Fantasy. We'll be taking a look at recent news, updates and announcements from the Final Fantasy universe. And let's just get stuck in then, shall we? First off, let's talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This week, Tetsuya Nomura sat down for an interview that was published in the Japanese Famitsu magazine. While the interview covered what's going on with him in general, the main information that was extracted from it was basically that Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Final Fantasy VII Remake won't be releasing anytime soon. So Kingdom Hearts 3 in particular sounds like it's got a lot of work to be done. Taking the information from siliconarea.com, which is, in my opinion, the best when it comes to Famitsu translations, Nomura states that there are still worlds that are untouched. For anyone who's been living in a cave for the past 15 years or so, a world in Kingdom Hearts is exactly that. Basically, it's an entire world that will have its own assets and will be thematically different to each other. So while in Final Fantasy 15, for example, we see a lot of enemies being recycled as we progress through the game, their freedom to do this in Kingdom Hearts 3 is reduced, which means that this news is particularly troubling for people expecting a 2017 release date. Now for Final Fantasy VII, the language he uses is a little bit more ambiguous, saying that the game is progressing steadily, which to me sounds pretty good, but then goes on to say that fans will have to wait a little bit longer. Now there isn't a time frame attached to this, so it's difficult to say what we have to wait longer than. At this point I was still holding out hope for 2017, well, late 2017. But as though my optimism from last week had been heard, he ends the statement with the Soul Crusher, and says that the release for these titles will still be a while. However, we have many titles releasing this year, and we hope that you look forward to any surprises. The mentioning of many titles releasing this year sounds, to me, neither of these games are one of them. That said, before we're all put on suicide watch, I still wholeheartedly believe that we will be receiving some information about Final Fantasy VII on the 31st of this month from the Final Fantasy Anniversary event. For Kingdom Hearts 3 though, of course the mention of any surprises is pretty exciting, so I wonder what those will be. Right, onwards to Dissidia. The next playable character for the arcade game was revealed on the 10th of January, and it was none other than Final Fantasy IX's main antagonist Kuja. Lots of people were speculating Noctis, but there you go. The current lineup definitely needs more antagonists, so hopefully we'll be seeing more of them in the future. Onto the world of Final Fantasy now. Sora is now available as a champion via DLC in Japan to go alongside the Japanese release date of the Kingdom Hearts 2.8 collection, which was back on the 12th of January. This DLC will be available worldwide on the 24th when the collection is released outside of Japan, and that will be available for free from the PlayStation Store. Onwards and upwards with Final Fantasy XIV now. Patch 3.5 will be releasing on the 17th of January, that's this Tuesday. The preliminary patch notes have been released, outlining the major content found within it. So very briefly, that's new main scenario quests, which will be split into two parts on Tuesday and then again in March. The new 24-man raid Dune Scaife, the final trial for the Warring Triad Zervan, new Scholastica, new Hildebrand, Anima weapon quests, which seem to be in two parts, one in 3.5 and one in 3.55, and that will probably be it for it. New Beast Tribe content, which seems to link the Vanu Vanu, Naf and the Moogles together, Eggy Glamours, two new dungeons, Somehow Hard Mode and Baelsar's Wall. Theoden will be reworked and it will be launching in 3.55. As of 3.5 it won't be available anymore in its current form. The crossover party finder will be available, and that's going to be incredible. There's going to be updates to PvP, including removing of chat for some reason and replacing it with quick text macros, an option to remove Grand Company affiliation in front lines to help with queues, and new PvP gear. And this is all among other small quality of life changes and fluff like haircuts and housing stuff. Overall, it's looking to be another exciting patch. Still on Final Fantasy XIV, Nobuo Uematsu, the big man himself, will be attending the EU Fan Fest in Frankfurt, which will be taking place on the 18th and 19th of February. So that should be interesting for those attending. Personally, I'll be watching the live stream, which is just as good, right? In other news, Yoshi P has spoken about a collaboration with Final Fantasy XV in an interview on 4gamer.net. He states that it's possible for them to do a really easy collaboration, like throwing Noctis' outfit in, but he would like it to be a bit more than that, similar to the Lightning Returns event that we saw back in 2013, and wow, that seemed like a long time ago. So basically it is planned, but more time is needed for both the Final Fantasy XIV and 15 developers to make a collaboration to remember. You can find a full translation of the interview over on Gamer Escape, and I'll leave a link to that if you want to read it. Now that we're on Final Fantasy 15, the Moogle Chocobo Carnival is scheduled for the 24th of January. We've also seen a sort of trailer for the event. It's not much of one, but it shows the event and it seems to be taking place in Altissia. We also heard that Final Fantasy 15 has exceeded 6 million copies shipped. This number is made up of digital sales and copies sent out to the retailers, so admittedly this doesn't tell us an exact number for units sold, but last we heard that number was 5 million. So the fact that this has gone up significantly in such a short amount of time is a pretty good indication of successful sales. So either it's digital sales, which are, literally just someone has bought the game, which translates directly into a sale, or Square has sent out an extra million copies to retailers. And Square wouldn't be sending out an extra million copies if the retailers weren't asking for it. And the retailers wouldn't be asking for it if they didn't think they could shift an extra million copies. So this is great news for the game and for the franchise as a whole, whose future may have looked a little bit bleak if Final Fantasy 15 had flopped. There's also been talk of an unannounced expansion for Final Fantasy 15 outside of the DLCs that we know will be happening in the semi-near future. This information is taken from, again, Famitsu, where Tabata has said, "We will evolve our released game Final Fantasy 15 more and more, and together with it, we will also evolve. We will further evolve the foundation and know-how of Final Fantasy 15 in preparation for new initiatives. Final Fantasy 15 is undergoing development for the updates, and we're also working on an unannounced, awesome expansion, so please look forward to it." Now I have no idea what this could possibly be, or whether or not this is a literal expansion like how we have Stormblood adding a shit ton of new content, or an expansion in the sense that it's going to be expanding our existing world, allowing us to say explore Tenebrae or Niflheim or something like that. So keep an eye on this because this could be some real interesting shit. And that's pretty much it for this week in Final Fantasy. If you want to hear what's going on the mobile side of things, you can find the other video on that in the description. And if you enjoyed the video, you can let me know via a like, a comment or a subscribe. As always guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.